guys, we are here at Lowe-Volk Nature Center with Josh Dyer, and he's going to tell us all about the center and what you might find here.
All right, thanks, Charlotte. This is Lowe-Volk Nature Center, owned and operated by the Crawford Park District, and the building's been around since 2002. And in that time, we've done lots of different renovations of it. There's various displays from geology to native wildlife, but we also have a very wonderful tree house, so to speak, that's a very popular attraction for kids to come in, take a look at the ins and outs of trees. There's an eagle's nest in there as well, so it's just a great place to bring families during the summertime. We also have trails outside. We'll be taking a walk here shortly to show you some of that. But the Nature Center is just full of native wildlife exhibits as well. We pride ourselves in having a very wonderful collection of native wildlife. We're allowed to have that, of course, through a permit from Division of Wildlife. We use these animals in all sorts of programming throughout the year with not just the general public, but we also take them to local school districts. And of course, we'd like to bring them up to Willard every once in a while for your summer programming as well. So
we have had Lowe-Volk many times and have had a wonderful turnout every time you come. So, and always had a great time and learned a lot in the process. So we always are happy to have you come.
Yeah, well, thanks.
So if you would just show us around.
Yeah, one of the newer displays that we have is an Ohio Minerals display. This was donated by Tom Kotyan. He's a local geologist, former teacher at Bucyrus High School. So he's definitely he's one of our local rock hounds, our go-to whenever we have questions about geologic oddities.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This was dedicated in memory of his mother, Mary Kotyan. So it's a wonderful display. Tom's a great supporter of the Crawford Park District, and we appreciate his support, him and his wife's support.
All right, where are we heading next?
Where are we heading? Well, we're going to stay on the geology theme.
Okay.
We also, Lowe-Volk Park is very well known in the area as being part of a quarry from back in the 1800s and early 1900s. So we like to celebrate the geologic history of that. Crawford County also, with our limestone deposits, is also very, very endowed with lots of fossils. And so anytime we do the geology programs with kids, I always like to tell them, if you have rocks in your driveway, go out and start looking at those rocks, and I am sure you will find a fossil amongst those rocks. And these are just some examples of some of the fossils that people might be able to find as they might look in their driveway. And of course, stones that big, not of course, but
those are awesome.
But yeah, and then we also have some fossils on the outside of the building as well. So this display here itself is going to be updated, so maybe by the time folks come back, they will see an updated geology display as well. So, but yeah, once we get down, we might take a peek at some of the ledges down there with the sandstone.
Awesome.
This is Virginia. This is one of our animal ambassadors. Yes, this is Virginia. She is a Virginia opossum, and they are the only marsupial in North America. I like to say that they're almost like us. I know people don't like possums a lot, but possums and humans do have something in common, and it's these things. An opposable thumb allows them to grasp and grip things just like we do. So imagine not having a thumb and how well you'd be able to manipulate or just go about your daily life without a thumb. So having these things is very important. So and we share that trait with opossums.
And we want them in our backyards because they eat ticks.
They do eat ticks. They don't
Yeah.
actively seek out ticks, but they go into areas that have heavy tick populations. And so what they do is they get them on their skin, fur. And you wouldn't think of it, but possums are very, very good at grooming themselves. And so in the grooming process is where they will consume those ticks. And so, if they're going in and out of these areas every day, day in and day out, that's how some researchers have kind of figured these guys are probably eating a lot of ticks out there.
Yeah.
So possums are wonderful on the landscape out there. They're, I think, one of the oldest mammals in North America. They've been around for a while, and I don't think they're going to go anywhere. They're pretty adaptable.
Can you tell us how they carry their babies?
Oh, yeah. So possum babies are born Very, very small. I mean, we're talking the size of a bean, and they usually have anywhere from about 13 is an average size of a litter of possums. But once they're born, the tiny little possums crawl up, and then they go inside of the mother's pouch. Of course, being a marsupial, the females do have a pouch, so the babies crawl inside of there, latch onto one of the teats, and they hang on to that thing for weeks, if not months. And then finally, as they start getting larger and the pouch is getting too big, they do climb on top of the mother's back and hang out for a little bit and follow her around. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah. We were just discussing the updated display. This is also some of Crawford County's history, in that we have found some Mastodon remains in Crawford County up by Sulphur Springs. There's some other ones over by Bucyrus as well. And so the tooth right there, this one right there, that one was found by some boys up by Sulphur Springs back in the 70s in a creek. And so some researchers at OSU and some college students came up. They did a dig. They unearthed some more of the animal, not all of it. One of the tusks fell apart when they pulled it out. Another one remained intact for the most part. But that is Atlas vertebra that came from that excavation. And then a friend of mine a few years back was walking in the same stretch of creek, the Broken Sword, and he found this rib in here. And he's donated it to us on a long-term loan, basically. And so we like to proudly display this stuff. This is part of the geological history of Crawford County. So even though it was buried by the glaciers, that stuff is still out there waiting to be found. Who knows when the next kid crawling around in a creek will find the next cool Mastodon find.
That's awesome.
So we also have some of our animal ambassadors here on display as we come around the corner here. Spotted salamanders. There's a couple of them kind of poking their heads out in there. These are fairly common in eastern and southern Ohio and central Ohio. Not super common in Crawford County, but we do have them in a few different vernal pools. But these salamanders are one of our favorites, the staff favorites to take out and share with students and the public. We also have an eastern milk snake. His name is Houdini. And of course, if you're familiar with Houdini, an escape artist, he was. So that's how he initially got his name. So we've learned how to make sure he doesn't get out anymore. So, but eastern milk snakes are a wonderful animal out there in the landscape. People find them in their yards, maybe confuse them for rattlesnakes because they have a tendency to vibrate their tail when they get anxious. And so when they vibrate it in the dry leaf litter or grasses, then it might sound like a rattlesnake. Their coloration, also people might think they're a copperhead. So unfortunately, milk snakes get a bad rap as far as possibly being a venomous snake in our area. So, and then below that, of course Stinky was there's you guys' adopted animal, Stinky the woodland box turtle.
And that's where Stinky lives. That's his habitat.
That's Stinky's habitat, that's right. We also have our tree, of course. This has been a major attraction for the Nature Center here in recent years. So you can definitely see what the attraction would be. Come on out and check it out. Play safe on it, but it is it's a fun learning tree for kids to come in. There's different panels and sounds. You can push some buttons on. So it's a neat interactive tree that has definitely been a highlight of people's visits here to Lowe-Volk Park. We get compliments from other park districts as well.
Gosh,
so
yes.
it's a great addition, asset to our nature center here.
How long did it take to build that?
It took approximately, I want to say about the whole construction. They basically built it down in Columbus, and then they tore it apart, and then brought it up here, and I want to say it was a few months worth of work. So
Wow.
The planning stages, of course, took much longer with
Yeah.
engineering design, but it's definitely an asset here for the
Makes
Crawford
me want
Park
to be a
District.
kid.
Yeah. Somebody, one of my friends said it reminds her of the Berenstein Bear House.
Oh, yeah,
So,
definitely.
moving along, we can kind of come around this area here. This is our what we call our bird viewing room. It's we've got some nice feeders out here, some butterfly garden behind it. Of course, it doesn't look like much now, but once that really starts cranking in the growing season, it's just a very wonderful place for pollinators such as butterflies, bees, but a host of other animals like to call that home. And also even during the wintertime, people think they need to get rid of all that ugly dead grasses, but those dead grasses and other plants out there, they are very important for overwintering animals. Some of the butterflies and spiders, beetles, all kinds of animals will use the hollow stems. They'll roll up dead leaves and hibernate within that dead vegetation. So even though it doesn't look like much, it is still very much teeming with life. But yeah, if you want to come in just to kind of hang out and watch the birds, they come and go as they please, of course, so you never know who might be showing up at the feeder. We definitely get orioles and hummingbirds, rose-breasted grosbeaks, as spring migration really starts kicking in. So.
Awesome. And all of those are native?
All of them are native, yes.
Yeah. So the bee that I see over here, the beehive, is that going to be active again, or is that just a display?
Yeah, that's just a display. This is
Okay.
a bulb phase. Oh yeah, we also have our honeybees out here real
There
quick
we
to
go.
sidetrack.
I knew
Yeah,
they
we
were
do
here
have
somewhere.
we do have our we started a couple colonies out there and some hives. So our hope is that people can come and kind of watch an active hive work. We also have this here. We're still in the working process.
Okay,
You got to be
that's
careful
what I
because
remember.
these there's a small little beetle called the small hive beetle that will come in and basically kill the hive off. And so we've been struggling with that, but we will have another hive in there soon.
That's
So
what I remembered from
Yeah.
coming over and was watching the live bees. That
Yep.
was really cool. I'm glad that you'll have them back again.
yep. And of course we have some more animal ambassadors. We are full of them. The Midland painted turtle, probably the most common turtle in Ohio that you would see. I got a question for you though, Charlotte.
Okay.
Why did the turtle cross the road?
Well, see what was on the other side?
To get to the other side, that's right. If you see a turtle crossing the road, we don't need any more animals. We have plenty. So if you see a turtle crossing the road, it definitely is going somewhere. If it's a female, she's going to go try to find a place to lay eggs. If it's a male, he's just looking for a new place to explore, go to find a new habitat. So if you see a turtle crossing the road, stop safely and carefully pick up the turtle and place it in the ditch the direction that it was going. So
A turtle's normal area that they would go in isn't very large, is it?
it depends. That's the thing. Some of these animals are very common, especially painted turtles and especially snapping turtles. Their name is common snapping turtle.
Yeah.
But as common as they are, especially with the snapping turtle, we don't really know a whole lot about them. As far as, we know that they can travel large distances. I've had reports of them in the middle of farm fields.
Okay.
So
Everything I had always read was that if you see a turtle, leave it alone because that's its home.
Yes.
And it doesn't typically go too far from its
Yes.
its home base.
yes, and most animals, they have a home range.
Yeah.
But there are, scientists figure 5 to 10% of animals within a given population will disperse out.
Just
So-
like people, they're nomads.
Yep. So,
That's awesome to
but
learn.
yeah, so they are Midland painted turtles. They're fun animals to have around. So.
They're really neat.
So if you
They're
want to
very
come watch the
colorful.
birds, this is the place to come as well.
Awesome.
Cruising on around. We've been fortunate to have some good contacts and acquaintances and friendships with the Division of Wildlife, and we were able to get an eastern hellbender. Eastern hellbender is North America's largest salamander. They can get over 2 foot long. They can live over 50 years, and The unfortunate thing about hellbenders is their populations are declining. In Ohio, they are state endangered. So Division of Wildlife, along with some work with the Toledo Zoo, Columbus Zoo, many other organizations have started what's called the Hellbender Partnership. And one of the goals was to try to help the population of these animals. So how do we do that? Well, if they aren't being successful in the wild on raising eggs and rearing young, then can we do that in a lab? So Division of Wildlife actively collects eggs in the late summer, early fall. They take them to the zoos. The zoos then hatch the eggs, rear the larvae, and then at about 3 years of age, when the hellbenders are about 9-10 inches, safe from fish predation, they then release them into sites in eastern and southern Ohio to help bolster these populations of eastern hellbenders. But unfortunately, people say, hey, can you come do a talk about hellbenders? That's the first question. The second question then is, can you bring a hellbender?
Yeah.
And so they said, well, as part of the education and outreach, we're doing successfully with raising these things. Is there a chance that we can put some of these animals out to different nature centers that can utilize these animals in education? So we were selected as one of those facilities to house one of the hellbenders. So, but yeah, this is Crypto. We call them Crypto
Cool.
because their scientific name is Cryptobranchus, meaning hidden lung.
Okay.
So, and just like in true form and fashion, hellbenders hide under rocks, and there's Crypto hiding underneath his or her rock. I'm not sure the gender yet. So.
What's causing the decline?
Habitat degradation. The rivers that they live in have either been cleared, which if the trees are cleared, the waters warm up much faster, the oxygen levels deplete, and not only the deforestation along creeks, but also the siltation that comes in. When silt and sediment comes into rivers, the rocks, as you can see that Crypto's hiding under, when silt and sediment come in, that actually buries these rocks. And so when these rocks are buried, they no longer provide a very viable habitat for the hellbenders. So those habitat degradation is the biggest issue. So of course we're talking about snapping turtles. We do have a couple resident snapping turtles here. They were pretty nice when they were younger. We don't get these guys out a whole lot anymore. So, but yes, if you see a turtle, if it's a snapping turtle, always take care. They do reach and snap. So, and then of course we also have our big window display where a lot of our cages are, or aquariums. We've got corn snakes, which are not native. But the thing about corn snakes is they do make wonderful ambassadors. We do have a relative of the corn snake called the black rat snake. And unfortunately, the rat snakes we have haven't quite dociled down, whereas corn snakes are much more easier to handle. So we do like to point that out. Corn snakes are not native. Of course, we've got more box turtles. We've got other salamanders, garter snakes, American toads, another snapping turtle, and of course the black rat snakes. There's the toad hiding out in there, back underneath his little toad house. And the steps make it nice for kids to come up and be able to view these animals and see see our native wildlife.
I wish I lived close enough just to come and sit down and
sit down and check them out.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is a popular bench spot for parents when they bring their kids in. As the kids kind of play in the tree, they're able to sit. And,
absolutely.
And,
this is a perfect setup.
Of course, in celebrating our, we're a natural history type of organization, but we also recognize cultural history as well. We have a display here informing folks about Colonel William Crawford, which is not a very fun story, so I won't divulge many details, but it wasn't a happy ending for Mr. William Crawford. But they came through Crawford County. It was one of the last battles. Actually, it was the last battle that involved British soldiers. Happened right here in Crawford County of the Revolutionary War. So that's always a cool thing. Like,
yes,
hey, that's
absolutely.
here in Crawford County. That happened here. But also, when they came to Crawford County, a lot of the reports of these soldiers that were on this expedition remarked how they had come through forests and forests and forests from Pennsylvania, and they got to Crawford County, and boom, it just opened up into these vast prairies, which is something that here at Crawford Park District, we do like to celebrate the prairie aspect of our natural heritage. And we had 30,000 acres in Crawford County.
Wow.
And even up in Huron County, there were some prairies around the Willard Marsh area as well.
Yeah.
So Huron County, you guys had it as well. So.
Yay.
But along with the cultural history, we do celebrate the prehistoric folks that came here as well. And the historic Native Americans too.
Yeah.
So we do have some artifact displays.
Wow, lots of arrowheads.
Yep. Do have some artifacts. We also have a few events too that gets people to come in and either look at some artifacts that people have found, or also we also have an arrowhead hunt, artifact hunt, and some local fields that farmers graciously allow us to bring some people out to do our own hunts.
That's neat. I'm going to have to check that one out. Everybody's favorite.
Everybody's favorite. It's not, again, not native. These are Madagascar hissing cockroaches. These guys are fun. We use them for insect programs,
I know,
of course.
I've seen him before.
But the fun. Are you ready? You got your video rolling? There's our friends, the hissing cockroaches.
Oh.
They're pretty fun animals. Not only do we use them for programs, but we do use them to, we'd use them for food for some of our animals as well, especially one of the lizards we have. He really likes to eat these guys. But yeah, if we touch him just right, maybe he will. No, not that guy.
He's pretty calm.
He's quiet.
He's laid back.
Oh, there it went.
I heard him.
But they do hiss.
Yeah.
it did gave a little bit of a hiss there. So hence the name hissing cockroach. This colony, we've had this colony for, 12 years anyway. This colony is very old. It actually goes back to when I was in middle school back in the early 90s. My biology teacher in the 6th grade, she had this colony in that classroom, and her son took it to where he was teaching. He didn't use it anymore, and she brought to the colony here and said, "Hey, do you guys want them?" And we said, "Sure thing." So this colony,
Absolutely.
and we've given away many. So if anybody would like to have their own colony start. And of course, some other fun natural history items. We do have woodpecker trees. We've got definitely have some various mounts of some native wildlife, some cool things, birds, mammals. And then one of the funner animals that people don't quite see as often. Let me find him in here. There it is. This is a spiny softshell. Some people call them leatherbacks. Because their shell is not hard like a typical turtle is. And so what they do, as you can see, is I had to disturb it out from underneath the stones in his aquarium. Notice his long neck. And so what they do is they burrow into sandbars, and then when they need a breath of air, they actually take that big long neck, and their nose is pointed. The nostrils are right on the tip of the nose, and so they just poke their neck out, almost like a periscope, stick it up out of the water, up to the surface, get a breath of fresh air, and pull it back in.
That's very cool.
And one last of our animal ambassadors are the fun tree frogs as well. These guys, we love our tree frog friends. They sing to us. They have a nice trill that you'll be hearing.
Yep.
They might be able to get him to sing for us. Yeah, he's not doing a whole lot for us. But they do have some fun suction cups on their toes, which allows them to jump from tree branch to tree branch. And so they have a really nice trill. It kind of sounds...
We have had them visit us before as part of a camouflage
Oh, yep.
program.
They are very well camouflaged. They can change the color a little bit, not like a chameleon can, but they can change the color of their skin. One of the other fun things is that they have yellow in their leg pits, and that is used as a distraction to predators because they do get found by blue jays or crows up in the tree, and so when they jump, you can see that yellow. And that's what the predator then keys into, is what researchers think. And then when the frog lands again, the yellow's hidden, but the predator is still looking for that yellow. It's what we refer to as a flash distraction.
So you are a smart little one. Yeah.
Oh, when they get nervous, they do expel some water. Don't put them on your nose when that happens. So you come visit our wonderful staff, friendly staff. We've got all kinds of things going on throughout the summer, spring, summer, fall. We have programs going on year round. And so as you come in, of course, it's a wonderful place. We do have a gift shop. If you would like to purchase some fun things that, either we got some literature to help you along the way. We also have, just some fun natural history related items for kids kids always love stores, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Josh, for
You're
showing
welcome.
us around today.
You're welcome.
And I can't wait to go for a walk.
So here's the pond at Lowe-Volk Park. It is open to fishing. It's catch and release only. You do not need a fishing license to come here. We fall under the farm pond rule for some reason, even though we are public. So no fishing license needed, but just release your catch after you're successful at your angling opportunity. Also, you can hear in the background, there's an eastern phoebe. Phoebe, he's named after his song.
Yeah.
Just showed up from the tropics, or southern U.S. So the first time I've heard one this year. So it's nice to have our eastern phoebes back. A lot of times we actually get them nesting on the ledges of our lights along the buildings. So, but they do like the sandstone ledges down along the river. That's their natural habitat to place a nest is on a ledge. So they do utilize the sandstone ledges down along the river as well.
Awesome.
All right, so we walk down the concrete path to the beginning of the woods. But before we head into the woods, a recent feature that we've added is that we know how much kids love to play in the woods. Sticks, climb. If there's a pile of stone or dirt. Rocks to climb. They just love to climb on this stuff. So we've created our own natural playscape around the corner here. So it's been a work in progress, and we're still developing it.
I haven't seen that. Oh yeah. Definitely, I could see a kid climbing on those.
Yes, the benefits of kids getting outside are endless, in my opinion, and research has proven that as well.
Absolutely.
So not just from the fresh air and getting out and experiencing the outdoors, but also the gross and fine motor skills that come along with playing outside.
Yes.
And so we do encourage people. We want people to stay on the trail. But by providing this gives some semblance of what they might encounter, crossing logs, climbing on logs, balancing on logs.
Yeah.
It's those gross motor skills are wonderful attributes that nature provides for the development of small children. So the Galleon Utility Department donated some old utility poles that an Eagle Scout project sunk them in. We sawed them off at varying levels for the motor skill development.
This is awesome.
Because Lowe-Volk Park used to be part of that quarry, we like to celebrate that sandstone history as well. So we were able to acquire some pieces of sandstone, huge pieces. These came from various places throughout Leesville and Crawford County, some of which came from right here in the quarry as well. So we kind of stacked them up, piled them in different shapes and forms, and we're able to, provide this outdoor natural playscape for kids and families to kind of come and fine-tune those gross motor skills and just have a good time out in nature as well.
Awesome.
We've got some logs. We discussed climbing on logs. We've got our own little log relay or log climbing section over there.
Fun.
So it's just it's a great addition. The parents love it. The kids love it. And actually, I did a program one time out here focused on something else. And there was a lot of first-time people, and the kids didn't want anything to do with my program, which was fine. So we all just hung out on the Playscape as well. So here we are at the head of the trail, heading into the woods here at Lowe-Volk Park. It was graciously put together, this Boardwalk Trail, by the Bucyrus Kiwanis Club, and we really appreciate all the volunteer efforts from not just anybody that would like to volunteer, but also from the civic groups that have wanted to see us prosper and provide good things for the community. This trail was pretty wet, but we had some very wonderful donations to construct this boardwalk, along with the volunteer efforts to actually put it together as well. Sure. And so this makes it very wonderful, accessible to wheelchairs, strollers,
yes.
Even those with low mobility.
Yes.
So definitely utilize these parts of the trail if you can. So come on down the trail.
I love
here.
to come here and walk.
It is. It's a great place. People love to come and take their pictures here. I always see it on the Book of Faces. It's like, hey, I know that park. So.
Yep. And there are just certain parts of the park that are very conducive to that, taking pictures.
Right.
Yes.
All right, so we just traversed down the boardwalk here, and we are at the overlook deck. This overlook deck is a wonderful place to. One of my favorite spots in the springtime as birds migrate, because it gives you almost a quote-unquote bird's eye view into the treetops here. And so as from the migrating bird perspective, this is a wonderful spot to come. Bring your binoculars, bring your ear for listening to their songs and calls, and just scouring the treetops in here in the bottomland to figure out who might be migrating through. Not all of them stay. So, anything from Blackburnian warblers to chestnut-sided warblers. We've also had yellow-throated warblers. I mean, they're just gorgeous small little pints. I mean, the little pint-sized birds that hardly weigh the weight of a quarter, that just traveled thousands of miles, and they're passing through. They're still going further north, and so having a habitat like this along their route, they're able to glean caterpillars from the treetops and the branches and the flowering parts of the trees. So it's a very wonderful place to come and do some birding as well. But also, just to kind of come and listen peacefully to nature. Whether you're here specifically for the birds or just to get out here and take a look and take a quick stroll from the nature center out here.
I see quite a few trees too that are very different. I think that's a sycamore down there by the water.
Sycamores, we've got the white camouflaged bark sycamores, the cherries. We do have a few sugar maples, red maples, silver maples, and black walnuts. So it's a wonderful place to come, and we have kids asking about leaf projects. We stop up. We're more than happy to help you out. We don't encourage people to pick things, but if you come and ask us about a particular project, we are willing to try to at least help you get started.
Awesome.
Awesome. Right in through here, we also have a little display that highlights Colonel Crawford again, because after Colonel Crawford was captured just about a mile east of here, the native tribe of the Delawares and Wyandots actually brought him through this area. So we know they took him back over to Upper Sandusky, and then but they did come along the Sandusky River here at Lowe-Volk Park, which actually the Sandusky River begins its 133-mile journey to Sandusky Bay right here in Lowe-Volk Park. So here we are at the confluence of the Paramore Creek and the Allen Run, and right down below us, 20 foot down, is the start of Sandusky River. Again, it starts its 133-mile journey right here, heading up to Sandusky Bay, which eventually in turn goes into Lake Erie. And so having the start of the headwaters, basically, of the Sandusky River also makes this park very important in that we are a buffer for the river. There are many pollutants that enter the stream, and by having this section of the river preserved, we're able to kind of buffer those activities on the landscape that otherwise would flow into the river, and of course harm the populations of fish and small animals that live in the stream, but also then in turn up at Lake Erie. And with the algal blooms that have been most prevalent here in the last decade, keeping this river clean is very, very important. It is a contributing factor to the algal blooms. So by us, preserving land along the Sandusky here in Crawford County, especially at the headwaters, we are able to do our part in controlling the nutrient loading that happens in Lake Erie. But we could see up the stream this way to the north, we have Paramore Creek coming in. It's fairly rocky from not just the sandstone substrate, but also from the quarrying operation that went on. There were what they call gob piles, so discarded sandstone, and so that stuff would flow in, and then off to the right there was the Allen Run. So we've come down from the overlook deck and started walking along the trail here by the Sandusky River. You'll notice behind me, we mentioned some sandstone quarrying activity back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. This is remnants of that quarrying activity, and we know it's from there because of the straight sides. If it was a natural ledge, of course, there would be more pieces of sandstone sticking out. But as they quarried down through here, they were looking for not the top rocks up there that you might think, oh, they just lay those down. They were actually going down deeper for these larger pieces. These larger pieces here were what they would use to cut and make buildings out of. The church up at Sacred Heart, is it up at Bethlehem Settlement Church, right there at the 61 and Remlinger Road. Before you get into Richland, Crawford County, right there was built out of sandstone that came from this quarry down through here.
Wow.
So, but yeah, this was the stone that they were looking for. So they had to get through all that and then get down here to this big stuff. What they would then cut. They used it for sidewalks. They used it for curbing along the roads, and of course corner posts for property markers, and just general foundations for homes in the area as well. So,
and it's just beautiful.
And they're festooned with mosses and lichens and liverworts and
ferns.
Yes,
Yeah,
Lowe-Volk Park
gorgeous.
is home to at least 12 species of ferns.
Wow.
So, which is pretty unique for Crawford
Yeah.
County. I mean, you get over into Richland County where they've got more hillier terrain, fern diversity goes up, but to have that many in Crawford County, you won't find it anywhere else within the county except for right here at Lowe-Volk Park.
Wow. Well, Josh, it has been a wonderful day here. We needed this day out just to get out in nature, and it really makes you feel good. So thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge with us about all of the vegetation, the animals, everything that is part of Lowe-Volk. We truly appreciate you sharing with us.
Oh, well, we thank you for coming down, Charlotte, and we appreciate the relationship we have doing programs with Willard Library over the years. It's just been a good partnership that we've had. We encourage. We are not that far away from Willard. So come on down, visit us. We've got 38 acres here. We've got about 2 miles worth of trails. Most of them are pretty improved, but always come prepared. So. Sure. And and don't forget to check out. We do have other parks within Crawford County as well. So, as much as Lowe-Volk Park is close, hey, Crawford Park District, we've got a good thing going, and we like sharing that with you up in Willard.
And so, as part of our summer reading program, we encourage you get out and about. It's all about tales and tales this year. So. Animals, come out and see the birds and the frogs and the fish and the turtles and snakes even. I know some of you don't want to do that, but come and get outside. It's gorgeous here. Thanks so much. See you soon.